Drago X Nilius is here, and Hanoj is the final boss. I am Haru Ren. Welcome to my review of episode 12 of Bakugan Legends. So spoiler warning, if you haven't seen this episode yet, go back and watch it now. But if you have, sit back, relax, and enjoy my review of Bakugan Legends, episode 12. We begin with an alliance of strength. Nilius and Drago are still fighting, and Winton and Athena are finished the reflector. The epic battle continues between Magnus and Dan.
Go Nilius!
Drago!
I'm fine!
Pyro punch now!
Holy crap, this is so awesome to see!
That was close!
Isn't Drago resistant to lava? The awesome brothers catch on to Magnus' plan as this battle was just to get Nilius and Drago to grow stronger, which was why Magnus left to join Hanoj's side so that they can be paired with each other in the battle judgment. Gotta say, not a bad plan, and even though Hanoj would trust Magnus to not lose on purpose, it would still get Dan to go all out and allow them to settle the rivalry that they spent all series developing. They even rehash all the times they actually had an epic one-on-one duel.
Nilius and I set off on an intense training journey. But as much as I hate to admit it, it was still impossible for us.
A journey that we never got to see and instead was replaced by a more inferior filler episode. Why is it whenever Magnus sets out on some journey or something, they never show his growth or development? Season 2 gave us that just fine, and after that, we practically just got Magnus explaining. While I like this seems like it's wrapping up the series' long story arc of Magnus and Dan's rivalry, it was still lacking substance from one side. While we grew with Dan's character throughout the series, we barely grew with Magnus' character beyond the second season, and that's the only thing that really irks me. But Hanoj practically admits that he was never intending to leave the planets alone, win or lose, because why would he? He's the ultimate Bakugan that would take the energy whenever. He's just being greedy. They even make it crystal clear when Hanoj is taking the energy while the battle is still happening.
And what can you do about it either way? Even now, Nilius is not strong enough to defeat me!
So Magnus gets Dan to combine their power to knock Hanoj on his ass, so the battle judgment match, I guess it's nullified. Winton, Athena, Benson, and Faustus finish the new reflector and they go to Vestroia to turn it on. Oh, I guess we get a quick transition to Nilius and Drago fighting the swarm. But the rest of the awesome brawlers epically join in. Oh man, the way this is shot, this is gonna be a war!
Since the battle judgment doesn't seem to matter anymore.
This never mattered in the first place. Man, this battle judgment thing has a very bad success to failure ratio. But Hanoj senses the Nova Reflector returning, and he chaos controls out of here while the awesome brawlers hitch a ride on the swarm creatures, except Dan, who stays behind for some reason. I think that might be important later on.
Dan? Shouldn't we go as well?
Also, what is up with this face? Like, I don't get it. What's the joke here?
Hanoj wouldn't just retreat like that.
He didn't. He's going to the reflector location. Pay attention, Dan! We continue with the ultimate plan. Hanoj arrives at the Nova Reflector, but wait, the awesome brawlers minus Dan hitched a ride with the swarm creatures. Shouldn't they be standing near them at the top of the crater instead of teleporting in front of Winton? Or am I not understanding how teleportation works? Also, Blitzfox and Trox just showed up right out of nowhere. But the reflector still needs to charge to use it, so they had to halt the swarm off. Meanwhile, Dan and Drago are flying to the reflector because Dan, I guess, froze up.
Then there's Magnus. I want to believe he's on our side, but...
Yeah, spoiler warning, this was practically pointless and leads to nothing. Dan and Magnus never argue about it or even mention it during the fight with Hanoj. It was just to give Dan a superhero entrance by making Dan look like a dumbass. So Magnus is once again leading the charge against the swarm in some pretty cool action, holding off the swarm until the reflector charges. Once again, I love the animation where the Bakugan are just attacking the horde of enemies like some apocalypse. Even Pyravian, Goreen, and Apollyon are joining in on the fun. But the swarm are overwhelming the Bakugan, and Hanoj actually has a brutal beatdown on Nilius, and before Hanoj can finish Nilius off, Dan arrives.
Phew! Saved you just in time.
Dan Kuzo!
Huh?
I could have gotten out of that myself, you know!
Good old Magnus, he really is like Seto Kaiba.
Don't think! Like Hanoj and the Swarm share one body and mind?
So, what happened with Buzzy then? That's another thing missing from this season. What makes Buzzy so different that it outright betrayed Hanoj? We don't get any kind of reveal that Buzzy was really a spy for Hanoj that helped him build the Nova Reflector to make his plan go faster or anything like that. He's just an impressionable baby or something. So, Dan suggests that Magnus to fuse Drago and Nilius, and we got the thing that they built up since the beginning of the entire series! The awesome fusion of Dragonoid and Nilius! Drago X Nilius! What? No toy treatment? But still, this scene though is absolutely epic. Holy shit!
Baku Fusion! Drago X Nilius!
Wow, for once they didn't use the Bakugan X faction name, probably because Drago X Treacherous already took Drago X Darkus. And also probably because they called this Baku Fusion and not Faction Fusion, so that's a cute little attention to detail that I can appreciate there. But you have to realize that this fusion of Dragonoid and Nilius has been built up since the beginning of the series. Two rivals that can never stop fighting each other, that always push each other to get better, even taking separate paths in life, now come together to create the ultimate form against the ultimate Bakugan. This was really a well-deserved reveal. Only thing they're missing is the toy animation for some reason. Probably because they intended to not spoil it, but the show air date got delayed, so the toy got released anyway. Also, wow, look at that beat power! Now, if only that real-life stats were almost as good.
Let's do this!
Oh yeah!
Drago!
Nilius! Shadow Flame!
Wow, the combined voice of Jonah Weinberg and Julius Cho is awesome and makes for an epic scene. Also, Shadow Flame is a rapid-fire card, so they planned this all the way in Season 2!
Winton! Huh? The Nova Reflector is ready!
Hey, wait a minute, Benton is controlling this thing with a game controller! So yeah, the Nova Light is charged and it fires at Hanoj, but the Swarm absorbed the Nova Light for Hanoj, which was Hanoj's plan all along, to absorb the Nova energy after they finished the Reflector. And Hanoj has now become, I guess we will call him Ultimate Being Hanoj?
Become the ultimate being!
And we leave the episode off on an awesome cliffhanger. So that was Bakugan Legends episode 12. Let me know what your rating of the show was in the comments down below. This was an epic episode, probably because this is the home stretch towards the final episode of the season. There was some great animation and action, and underlying narrative trying to figure out why Hanoj doesn't just charge in himself, and the epic fusion that seems like the series have built up for 5 years now between Nilius and Drago. The voice performances were amazing as well. It was just an absolutely thrilling episode where I felt like it was over after the Drago X Nilius part, but they managed to keep the pacing of it to swerve the audience and to present the ultimate threat. So yeah, this was fun to watch, even if some things didn't make any sense, so I'm giving this a Bakutastic! Thank you for watching this review of Bakugan Legends. Be sure to press the like button, give us a subscribe, and enable notifications so you don't miss the final episode review coming out tomorrow. I've been Haru Ren, and thank God for Rapid Fire. Bye!